All right, so here for the practice questions of chapter 2. A bunch of these questions are basically just based on things that you should be aware of mathematically that will help you for economics courses overall. So some of these are required to be known in a certain way by heart. It's just, and they won't come up that often. It's just that if ever they were to come up, you want to know what we're talking about here. So the first question and some of these other questions are actually quite related, so I'll answer these pretty rapidly. So which of the following pairs of words have similar meanings? Well, the pairs that you should see that have similar meanings is that we have independent and dependent variables, and the equivalent of that would be exogenous and endogenous variables. So exogenous are things that come from the outside, from the exterior of the models, and the endogenous are things that are found inside the model. So exogenous and independent would be a right answer, or endogenous and dependent. So here, dependent and exogenous is not. That would be a dependent and endogenous. Induced and autonomous is something we talk more in macroeconomics. So induced versus autonomous spending. One varies with income, one is stable, doesn't change. So these are actually two different components. Independent and exogenous is the right answer here. Induced and exogenous as one's outside the model and one moves with. Endogenous and autonomous also is wrong. So really the two that you want to remember is that independent is exogenous and dependent is endogenous. If the graph of a function is a horizontal line, the slope of this line is what? Well, if we had this completely horizontal line, it means that there is no slope. Like this is flat. It's not going up super steep. There's nothing about it. So something that's completely flat actually has a slope of 0. Positively related changes, such as the value of one variable. Select one that works. So positively related variables, such as the value of one variable, they'll move in the same direction. They'll move positively. So as one increases, the other one must increase as well. So it decreases. As the one variable decreases, the value of the other variable increases. No, that would be moving in opposite directions. So positively, they have to move in the same direction. Increases, the value of the other variable remains the same. They're not related if that's the case. Decreases, the other variable remains the same. They're not related once again. Decreases, or increases would be the two right answers. And here we have increases, decreases. So decreases is the only right answer. Choose a statement that best describes how endogenous variables differ from exogenous variables. Well, it's what I started explaining, but I wanted to leave some of it here. So an endogenous variable is explained outside the theory and influences an exogenous variable, while an exogenous variable is explained within the theory. No, exogenous is found outside and endogenous is explained within. So it would be the opposite of this. An exogenous variable is a function of the endogenous. No, once again, exogenous is this independent variable that we take as given, and then the dependent variable depends on it. So exogenous and endogenous, if you remember independent, dependent, depending on what baseline you have in mathematics before, just put independent here, independent, and you'll see it doesn't make any sense. An endogenous variable is a flow, while an exogenous variable is a stock. This would be more technical in dynamics, and once again, this would not be the case. We're looking at like one-time effects or long-term effects. An endogenous variable is explained within the theory, while an exogenous variable influences the endogenous variables, but is determined outside the theory. So here we're going outside the theory, and it influences the endogenous variables. It is what it is. Obviously not the right answer. When an increase in one variable is associated with an increase in the second variable, the two variables are not positively related. They're not proportionally related. They're not necessarily proportionally related inversely. They would be negatively related. As one goes up, the other one goes down. They have this negative relationship. And those are the right answers for this. So you might not have the questions in the same order, But overall, you should have gone through the same process to answering this practice quiz 2.